Hi, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon. Bilyonaryo is giving you a sneak peek into the Kingly Treasures auction of León Gallery that's happening on December 3. We're going to show you some of the choice pieces that will be available for auction. This is open to the public, so don't hesitate to come and view these beautiful artworks. It may be your last chance until December 3, unless, of course, you're the one who's the successful bidder for them. So with us to talk about these amazing works is Lisa Nakpil, the curator of León Gallery.
Venancio Igarta is a relic from the mid-century Manila. A relic, because if he had stayed in Manila, he would have been as revered as H.R. Ocampo or Arturo Luz or Vicente Manansala. But he went to the States in the 50s, where he was running around with a very fast crowd that included Jose Garcia Villa, National Artist for Literature, E.E. Cummings.
Yeah, imagine, the poet.
Yeah, and he would live in the Park of New York where Alfonso Osorio and Jackson Pollock were. So that changed his point of view, but unfortunately, Filipino collectors know very little about him because he would be shown in New York and American museums. But
this is a beautiful work.
Senator Ramos Shahani was a fan and a friend. So she was able to collect, maybe there are 3 or 4 more in the other rooms.
Tell us about this Concepcion.
Okay, now Florencia Concepcion is the level of, let's say, Joseph Albers in the States. A teacher in the University of the East and very influential in creating the careers of people like Lau, even Olazo, who were the young Turks at the time. So he was an academician, but you can see where the current generations take their inspiration. He appeals to a very discerning group of collectors who want to connect the dots between a certain period
or artist.
Yes, and then bring it down to, for example, a Bernardo Packing or even an Olazo. To connect them all together, you need to have a seminal Florencio Concepcion, because this is one of the men who started it all. This is indeed the word that you can use seminal for. Because
are we going to overuse this word today?
No. But the fact is, Romulo Olazo started his famous diaphanous series in the 1970s. His diaphanous usually have numbers, like Jackson Pollock, number 22, 34. That one over there is 452. But this one is diaphanous A, X1, 11. So
very early.
Very, very early. So he started this between 1970 and 1974. This is a 1976. In his book, there is no other painting that is earlier than 1976. So you can see here that this could be one of the earliest works indeed. Mm-hmm. As a printmaker, you can see how he was doing layers, because he was doing silk screen. Mm-hmm. So
several layers.
So you can see how this happened, this came together. So you can see it's a transparency versus opaque, color, lack of color.
Mm-hmm. You could also see how it evolved.
Yes.
No, the style. Kasi
yes.
This is early as compared to that one.
Yeah, to that one, that's 10 years later. So it's a completely different. But then you see the diaphanous become more and more bold.
Yes.
And
here
extravagant.
Medyo, parang you can see he's still testing it.
Yes, and restrained.
Yeah.
Restrained.
So we go to this. Another S word.
No, another S word. Yes.
Wow, ang dami. Which means that you have the important pieces here that you can see when the artist began a certain style?
Well, the beauty of auctions is that it gets to coax the best of the best artists and their best golden years to be represented in an auction. So, for example, with Arturo Luz, this would be maybe a few years after he had already won the grand prize of the influential Art Association of the Philippines, AAP. And this is like a first representation of a cyclist. So he would do cyclists, musicians, you know, that men on bicycles, jugglers.
Circus.
Yeah, circus.
Acrobats.
That was his favorite thing. So this combines even the circus thing. And because it was owned by architect Nakpil, he, you know, so it's very architectural. You see that this leg is up there, this he's reaching for a ceiling. He's actually boxed into a room, which is unusual for a Luz, to have it in a room. So you can see it's one of his first seminal works.
Okay, let's go to this table here where, oh my God, we have 3 beautiful Orlinas. Orlina has become also a favorite at auctions in the recent past.
He's one of the hottest living artists now. And well-deserved, very well-deserved. Because sculpture is not often regarded as one of the most coveted. But Ramon Orlina was able to break that rule.
Curse.
Yeah, not a curse, but you know, people would go for a canvas, but not really for a sculpture. It's only Ramon Orlina and Solomon Saprid who have been able to break that barrier of getting a lot of collectors very interested, even fascinated, wanting to get the different years of an Orlina.
Right.
He started with Asahi glass, which he would get. So that would be the greens. But I think he began to branch out into the different forms of glass. You see blue. These are all very unusual to see. Black, the opaque, and then the blue.
This is beautiful. This would be what Mount Makiling. Aba.
So it's very nice. It has resonance, diba? Magic Mountain, the seat of artistic education in the country.
Makiling
Arts.
Art School. So this would be for people who have a connection to Laguna, Batangas, no? Do collectors look for that? A work that, you know, resonates with their maybe birthplace, business?
Yeah, some people collect because it's their birth year, or it's their hometown that's depicted. Like there's an Amorsolo showing the Mount Arayat, or for example, the place where they were born.
Sa Batangas or Laguna.
Yeah.
This is yours for the bidding.
Yeah, we have edades that shows third-class passage on those. Remember when there was no Cebu Pacific and you had to go in a third class, second class, and so they have edades as a view of people sleeping on second, third class, going to Cebu. So that would be a nice memory that you would have. But of course, there are people who resonate with the artist, or a period like mid-century modern, contemporary.
Different reasons for coveting an artwork. So with us is no less than the director of León Gallery. Hello, Jaime.
Hello, Cez.
Yeah. Tell us, well, first of all, of course, Betsy Westendorp just passed away and you almost had the chance to bid your goodbye.
Yes, I was just in Spain and I was supposed to meet her, but unfortunately I had heavy cough and colds and I didn't want to hasten what just happened. So I opted not to visit, but we've always been in touch with them, and Tita Betsy has always been very gracious, a very elegant woman, so to speak.
I think you have a lot of anecdotes about her, but the most important is, how did she ever end up here in the Philippines?
Well, Tita Betsy mentioned the story of how she got to live here. I mean, towards the end of her, till the end. Benny Toda was a good friend of Betsy because she was also married to someone who was partly Filipino, the Briases. And so Benny Toda, at the time, he owned Philippine Airlines, and he was a big businessman. And he needed to give a gift to Amy Marcos, who was young then. So he asked Tita
Something
Betsy,
maybe like this?
no, I think a portrait of her.
portrait.
Yeah. So when finally the gift was, I think they were on a plane, and then Benny Toda gave the gift to Amy. Mrs. Marcos saw it, and then Mrs. Marcos said, "I also want one." And then, so Benny Toda told Betsy to, why don't you come to the Philippines and paint the first couple. So that's how she got to paint.
The stay became almost permanent.
Yes, everybody, and how she ended up staying all her life in the Philippines for half a century.
Who are the people that she painted? The notables.
The notable one, the most notable one, and someone she really enjoyed painting was President Marcos, because she felt he was a true gentleman. He was very, as you'd say, very formal, or he was he was very elegant, and the conversations they had were really.
Intellectual.
Yes, I don't say that, but she enjoyed very much, and I think she mentions that in her book too.
How long did her subjects have to sit? I guess
Sometimes it could
matagal.
take for a month, and oftentimes she would get one of the PSGs to sit for Mrs. Marcos for the body, just to have the body. And when Mr. Marcos could do it again, he would be there, and they would resume their conversations and all. And she really enjoyed doing that.
So Lisa, this is really, I think, one of the most coveted artworks in this auction. Tell us why.
Well, number one, the Lena is one of the last of the living masters, and he should be, in my opinion, one of the next national artists. Second, this is a massive work, where if you want to get into it, with the most number of people featured in a single work. And of course, as befits the topic, which is the Feast of the Black Nazarene in Quiapo, which is just a few months away. So that's a pivotal story. The Lena also was, I think, was living or
was he a devotee also?
I don't know if he was a devotee, but this is something so pivotal. If you live in Manila, you have to
witness it at least once.
And you can see his point of view from the people here, that he was perched on some kind of balcony. So he could see both street level, eye level, and above. So he could see the line of the devotees, plus the people hurling towels, you can see that.
Yeah.
And then that he was somewhere here, on maybe a second or third, fourth floor maybe.
It's where we would position our TV cameras.
Oh, there you
when
go.
we're covering.
So would you recognize this?
I remember being on a, it's right across the entrance to the Quiapo Church for one. So it's the building across.
So this is clearly Quiapo Church, as you can see from the arches of the windows.
They're entering.
Yeah, this is Miranda. So it's
Pero
got a
at
double.
that time, wala pang, hindi ba they constructed a gate, I think? At that time, wala pa.
A gate and a wall, no?
Yeah.
But this is Quiapo Church.
Plus, I think a lot of artists are inspired to paint this scene, right? We've
Yes,
seen
yes,
many.
yes.
But Dalena has his own, I don't know, touch. And we've never seen a lot of Dalena works out.
No, this topic, because usually it's the
Sabo.
underbelly of life, which is
Correct.
high alive,
Yeah.
betting, gambling. But this is actually a very spiritual painting. a double Madonna. But if you look at the, Malang became obsessed with several things. Carrozas, Madonnas, and also flora and fauna. So he and Ang Kyu Kok were protégés of Vicente Manansala. And you can see how they differ in their treatment of the flora and fauna.
Okay, Lisa, tell us about this piece by Zobel.
So the Fernando Zobel is completely in tune with what's happening in the Prado in Madrid, because he just opened his exhibition on November 14. And that's it's an earth-shaking event because he follows Picasso in collaboration with Goya. So now it's Fernando Zobel with the classic works in the Prado. You have to bear in mind that this is the first time ever that the Prado features modern works, because it's all Renaissance, medieval works, 16th, all the way to the 19th century. They do not, until now, have featured a contemporary artist. And for them to feature a Filipino artist, that's something. So,
Something to be really proud of.
really proud of. It's in a special building and it will run until, I think, the 3rd week of March.
This is the star of the show.
I believe so. But because Ronald Ventura is perhaps one of the most glamorous, mysterious, legendary, living artists in the Philippines now. He's been very careful with what he shows and how he creates each work. This is an interesting work because this is going to be like the 20th anniversary of Ronald Ventura being named one of the 13 artists of the Philippines. It's a major, major award which he won in 2003. And this was one of the works that caught the public's imagination and sort of got people to notice him.
For one the size.
Yes, so we believe that it is the biggest Ronald Ventura to come to the Philippine market. So we have very high hopes that it will create another auction record, at least in the Philippines.
He still has the trademark, where he inserts
pop icons. But then there's a very serious side where there's like references, like it's magic, mystery, all in one. And then plus, it's a racehorse. Could this be Epos? They are bleeding blind horse on a rocking chair. So there's a reference to his childhood. And then probably a vision of where he was going to be. I mean, it's sort of like telling us where he was 20 years ago, and then it's still quite relevant now. I mean, in his artistic practice.
And then there's this little parol or Christmas ornament there.
Well, collectors like to call this the Kalawang series. And there you have it.
Kinakalawang kalawang effect dun sa dulo.
Yeah.
The works also by Ronald Ventura, they're so, arresting visually. But then, there are also these little things na you'll discover.
Yeah, it draws you in, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, it draws you in.
Again, if you're the collector, there are many things to discover every day about the work.
So this is like a study of the horse, and then this is a horse, the mechanical side, and then the horsepower, modern engine side. I mean, that's just one interpretation.
So parang the contrast.
Yeah. Because he's a extraordinary draftsman. So you can see in hyperrealism.
Yeah. Also, before, his early works were a lot of human anatomy and very detailed.
Yeah, so you can see just here, diba? The
Yeah,
musculature.
how it's like you're actually, it's like you can touch a real horse. It's like it's going to, come alive or something.
But snowy white. I mean, yeah, so there's that sense of imagination, purity, the past and the present.
And then that violence.
Yeah, the violence.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much, Lisa, for taking us through
always a
the
pleasure.
wonderful pieces. Looking forward to the records that
December 3.
you will create.
Yeah, December 3. Everyone should come.